April. We're down here at Brisbane and you're with Trent again, but so far last time we talked was the Queensland titles, which was the first meeting out. Just sort of let us know how things are going.
Yeah, really good. Our first hit out, like you said, was Pioneer Park, the Queensland titles. It was our first ever ride together, first time ever on those bikes, my first time at the track. We came third overall, which is really well. The bikes were going good. I felt comfortable. It was really, good stuff, and I enjoyed it. And he's got a lot of experience behind him, so it, helps a lot. I do trust him. So it got a little bit to get into it, but once we did it, it was sweet.
Yeah, and it looked like, obviously, people that aren't in the know will say the results weren't there at Mildura, but things are coming and there's always development. So what's the plan for today? More development?
Yeah, we're going to take today as a practice day. Like, we've got the centenary coming up in December, so this will probably be, most likely be our last ride before then. I've never ridden here on a modern, only on a classic, and he hasn't ridden here in a couple of years, so we'll just take the day to gel together on this track and run the bikes in a little bit more because they are still brand new basically. So we'll see what happens. Yeah,
cool. And how do people find the team?
So we've just started a new Instagram page, Headland Cottrell 13 Racing on Instagram. You can find us, and then we're going to have a Facebook page up and running soon.
Good stuff. Well, so far you've looked the part now. The Kevlars are matching. I saw something weird. I think you've changed visors on your helmets down at Mildura, and only a paint nerd would see that, so I saw that.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool to see the progression, and it's good to see you sort of being shoved into something that's really fast with someone that's really knowledgeable.
Yeah, it is. It's a big change from riding the last couple of seasons and jumped into the deep end with me on, but it'll take me a little bit to get used to and gel together, but it won't all happen overnight. Like I said, we've only had 2 rides together, so just onwards and upwards from here.
And what's the goal for the centenary meeting? Like, obviously most people would want to win it, but you guys are working towards that, so what's your goal for that meeting particularly?
Well, the centenary will only be our 4th ride together, and a lot of the pairings in the sport have been racing with each other for over 5 to 10 years, so we haven't really spoke about a goal. It'll be a fun meeting for us. It's just awesome to be a part of it, and as long as we start fight, finish fight, it'll be a good night.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool. We've talked about this before, but it's cool to see who's been announced and things like that. So even just from a fan point of view, it'll just be a cool meeting to see.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait.
All right, well, thanks for having another chat and good luck today.
Thank you.
So keep going. We're talking about the routine, how you have your Pars Ashes, your favourite pair of undies and that sort of thing. But do you get nervous leading up to the tapes, or are you more focused on what you're trying to do?
Oh, I get nervous even driving to the track, but they're good nerves. Like, they're adrenaline nerves. Like, I want to get out there and race. I want those tapes to fly up in front of my face. Like, they're just. I've had race meetings. My first time racing at Mildura with Chris, I was crapping my dacks. I was so nervous. I wouldn't eat, and then I'm like, if I don't eat, I won't be strong enough to ride. Like, I've got to fuel my body, I've got to give it nutrients. But if I ate, then I felt sick and I was stressing out, and it was like a 43-degree day. It was the 45th, I think it was, sidecar spectacular last year, and 45-degree heat. It felt like it was just killing. I'm in black Kevlars, and I said to Chris, I was like, I can't do this after our second race. I was in and out of the shower, smashing my face with water. Like, it was so hot. I felt so sick. I felt like I couldn't hold on to the bike. I had the worst arm pump, and I was like, I can't do this. He's like, yeah, we'll go out for one more ride. we'll see what happens. We went out for one more ride. I felt great, had some magnesium, had a Powerade, just punched all the electrolytes in me, went out there and we did really well. And then another race, we got through to the B final and we're like, what the hell? Won the B final, got through to the A main, and we were racing against Mick Headland and Justin Playstead and that, and sadly Mick's bike couldn't make it to the final, so he stopped in infield and Chris and I rode the rails off the thing and came second, and that was my first podium.
What a crazy deal to share a podium with Justin Playstead, because being a passenger yourself, he is arguably the greatest passenger of all time, and it's no surprise that he's coming back and racing. But what's it like racing against some of these big names? Because I'm friends with a lot of these guys, but to me that's still a big name.
Yeah, they still are a big name in my eyes. Like I said, ever since a little girl, I've watched all these people race, like especially like Darren Trelaw and Mick Headland. Like when I was a little tacker in nappies, I used to be at the track watching them, and now I get to put my race helmet on and line up next to them. It's pretty unreal, but they're all good. They're good help to me. Like you get the occasional snobs, but it is what it is. It's racing, you know. But no, they're good. They're all good. It's insane to line up next to them.
Funny, we're in a sport that's very tight-knit and that, but what I've seen personally doing what I do, it's crazy the people that help out other people. Like, you would think it would be a bad idea to help your competition, but you know, in my state, he was legendary for it, Gary Moon. He'd be fixing someone's bike as they're trying to get him up to the tape. So it's pretty cool to see everyone want everyone to do well.
Yeah, that, and also like it's good competition. It makes the sport interesting. Like if you're not racing against other top people, it's not really that exciting. Like you're just running circles for running circles. Like I'd happily help people fix their bikes just so we have competition.
It's cool for me to sit back and sort of watch how things go sometimes, because like I said, a year ago or so, we were sitting at Gillman and you're this young kid who was sort of cutting her teeth, and now you're travelling Oz with your job, and you know, you're getting on with Treno, and you know, things are going cool. So what's the plan for the future? Do you have a plan?
Race with Trent, keep flying around doing my work and just see where it goes. You know, I've learnt to take every day as it comes. Tomorrow's never promised, so don't take things for granted and just live in the moment, really.
I hate to use the term living my best life, but I thought about that on the drive up here from work, and I thought that is sort of pretty fitting to how things are going for you, mate. And like we said off camera, nothing's handed to you, so people don't get to see all the hard work and, you know, the living out of a suitcase and all this sort of thing. So I'm stoked for you, mate. This is killer.
Yeah, it's good. I'm really lucky with the job that I've like managed to grab up with my crew, and they're an awesome crew. Like me and the 5 boys wherever we go really now, but they're awesome. They're like my other dads, my other brothers. You know, they do everything for me. They pick on me, I pick on them. Like we're like a little family that just fly around to racetracks together for work. It's unreal. It's awesome.
We're in a very lucky time for it to be 100 years of Speedway, and for someone of my age, like I think I'm double your age, but David Tapp is someone who has shot Speedway bikes and sidecars. It will never be matched what he's done. Now, you're going to be participating in this meeting he's got coming up with Darcy Ward. You've already raced Brisbane, but is it a bit daunting going to such a massive event where it's literally like a fantasy league of sidecars?
It is. It is going to be the biggest meeting in Australian Speedway history. Like, it is going to be huge, especially having solos one night, and Dan Bewley's already coming, Ty Wolfenden's already coming. Like, it is going to be a huge meeting, and yeah, I'm crapping my jacks already about it, I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, it's just another race meeting. Trent and I are going there. We've got a job to do. Ride hard, ride safe. You know, start 5 races, finish 5 races is my goal, and have fun while doing it. Like, if you're not having fun, then there's no point really. You got to enjoy what you do.
Every race and build on that. But you did the Queensland titles, I think it was October last year, last time we were around each other, and you were on that 2-stroke classic bike. What was that bike like to be on? Because it looked like it had nothing off the start, but once it wound up, man, it was a rocket.
Yeah, two-stroke T500 Suzuki. It was, once it got off the line, it was a weapon. Like, that thing can sing. Like, it was awesome. I was riding it with Neil Turner, and he's a great bloke too, and he loves his bikes, and I had a really good night. We ended up coming fourth for the night. It was our first ever time riding together, first time on the bike, the first time the bike has ran in a long time. But it was unreal. It was a ripper night. We had a blast.
Anyway, what's an embarrassing moment you've had on the bike or racing that sort of not many people know about?
I don't really know it. My embarrassing ones are me having stacks, even though like 90% of the time they're not my fault. I'm just like, oh, now I look like an idiot. Like, it looks like I've fallen off or something. You know, everyone, after that stack I had at the Aussie titles, everyone calls me tumbleweed now, and oh, don't fall off, and gonna have to put super glue on your hands and all that sort of stuff. But I wouldn't really say it's embarrassing. It's just one of those things. Everyone has accidents.
Well, a friend of mine who races in New Zealand, he's got irritable bowel syndrome, so his embarrassing stories are pretty heavy. But moving away from that, where do you see yourself going in this? Are you doing the route of trying to be a passenger as long as possible until you can get your own bike, or where do you want your sort of place to be in the sport for the next few years?
I'm happy being a passenger. I don't think I'd ever ride one. Like, I don't really want someone else's life in my hands sort of thing. Like, it sounds silly, but I'd rather be that life in someone else's hands. Like, we both go in it together. We both know what we're doing when we put our helmets on. We both know we might not be the ones taking them off, but it's the risk we're willing to take for the 1 minute of adrenaline and joy. Like, wouldn't change it for the world, but I'm just going to stick being a passenger, and I'll do it till I drop dead, really. Like, I love the thing. I love the sport.
You've been to where it's just sort of hit you, and I'll tell you my reaction to the Aussies. I had a little teary in the corner. I walked in the gate and I was like, man, I'm actually here, and I started crying. And you know, what's a track that's had a big effect on you when you've turned up to it?
Definitely Gillman. Gillman's really close to me. It was my pa's favourite track. Like, everyone loved him there, and going there, it felt like I was with him sort of thing. Like, he was there over my shoulder when I'm racing. And especially Broadford too. Broadford's my home track, and I was there as a kid nearly every weekend. Like, my first race meeting, I was 2 weeks old, and I was at the track straight out of hospital. Like, I love the joint. It was like pa's home track too, and yeah, it's just great. Everywhere I go, really, it's a bit daunting until you keep going, but I love my sport. I love what I do. Great.
Now, if I've got this right, your little sister does junior solos as far as I remember, but what's the plans with her? Does she want to come into sidecars? Is she happy on the skinny bike, or what's the deal?
She just came out of juniors, actually. She's on to 500. She's on a 350 though at the moment, 350 Speedway bike borrowed by Tony Nagel. She's loving it. Tony was New Zealand champion and everything, and he's a great bloke too. He's really good to her, and she's racing under his wing at the moment. She's doing really, really well, actually, and I think she's just going to keep up the solo. She might dabble in sidecars a little bit. She's a bit scared to be a passenger. She watches me ride and goes, "You're just stupid." She thinks I'm crazy. So, and she watched my first ever stack, which was my first ever time on a Speedway bike at Undera. I went flying into the walls at about 70 k's an hour, and she saw that firsthand, so I don't think she'll be a passenger. She might dabble in it a little bit though, see what happens.
Now, speaking of crashes, I try not to talk about them too much, but they are a byproduct of our sport. You've had a couple of monsters from what I've seen. Because everything happens so fast, when you're having like some of your moments and that, I don't think you really have time to figure out what's going on. You're just sort of in the middle of it. So I think you had a massive one where you was rolled over at Undera, I think.
Yeah, that was in the wall. We hit the wall and the bike flipped, and got it on video. It's a pretty hefty video. And but yeah, no, that one hurt. That was my first ever time on the Speedway bike, and it was our last time out. We were like, oh, we'll just do one more. And you know, when you say, oh, we'll just do one more, something always goes bad. And We hit the wall and bike flipped, snapped the fairing off, snapped the handle off, smashed the seat, did a lot of damage, and luckily Chris and I were both okay, but I was just lying on the ground. It's funny, my mum actually videoed the whole thing and didn't like stop recording. So she ran out on track and she's got the phone next to me and I'm lying on the ground. I'm like, fucking awesome. Like, that was literally the first few words that came out of my mouth. And then it was, is the bike all right? I want to go again. I want to go again.